Hello and welcome. I'm Chayla Scott-Weber, a Senior Program Officer with the OCLC Research Library Partnership. Today, I'll be showing you how to use the Quick Cost Estimator tool, which is a part of the Total Cost of Stewardship tool suite. By the end of this tutorial, you will have learned how to use the Quick Cost Estimator for your own work. I'll give you an overview of the tool and then step through an example from start to finish to make clear how to use it. So, what is the Quick Cost Estimator? It is a spreadsheet that allows you to make broad estimations of the time required to catalog or process materials in archives and special collections. As its name suggests, it's meant to provide estimates, not exact predictions of costs or time. Its calculations are based on existing, widely accepted models for time estimation for bibliographic cataloging and archival processing. It allows flexible data input so that it can be used iteratively to provide a broad estimate at early stages when you have minimal information about a collection, and later a more detailed estimate as you understand more about a collection size or needs. The Quick Cost Estimator is intended to support decision-making and communication during collection acquisition work. The data it generates can also be used to inform conversations with donors, granting agencies, and administrators when discussing the funds necessary for collection stewardship. The Quick Cost Estimator is just one element of the Total Cost of Stewardship tool suite. The suite is designed to enact the Total Cost of Stewardship framework, a collaborative approach to collection building and stewardship that supports institutions in making informed, shared collection building decisions. You can use the Quick Cost Estimator as a standalone tool, or you can use the data it generates with other resources in the Total Cost of Stewardship tool suite. All of the tools in the suite, as well as the accompanying report, are available at this URL. If you haven't already, the first step to using the Quick Cost Estimator is to download it from this URL. It is a Microsoft Excel file. Before you start entering data in the tool, you'll need to gather some basic information. The Quick Cost Estimator takes information about extent that you enter and uses it to calculate an estimate of cataloging and archival processing hours. So before you begin, you'll need to know the extent of the archival collection you wish to process, or the number of volumes or items you wish to catalog. You'll also need to know something about the descriptive needs of the material you want to work on. Do you think things will need copy cataloging, enhanced copy, or original cataloging? Do you project that the archival collection will need to be processed to the folder level, or will series level be sufficient for some or all of it? If you have your own local model for time estimation and want to use that with the estimator, you will also want to have that information. Okay, so now let's open the file and take a look at the tool itself. We'll start with an overview. The Quick Cost Estimator has 3 numbered tabs. Tab 1 lets you create cataloging time estimates. Tab 2 lets you create archival processing time estimates. And Tab 3 shows you the time estimation models being used for the calculations in the other 2 tabs, and also offers a place for you to input your own local models. On each of these tabs, there is a key at the top right that explains the color coding of the cells on all of the tabs. Green cells have data pre-populated in them by the tool that will be used for calculations. Yellow cells are fields where you will enter data. And gray cells are fields where the tool will generate data based on what you enter. Now that you have the overview, I'd like to start by looking at Tab 3, Guidelines Reference, which is where we have details about the time estimation models being used in our calculations. You can see that we have 2 sections. At the top, we have a bibliographic cataloging model from the University of Florida, which specifies 7 different levels of cataloging activities or levels of effort, and the minimum and maximum time per item that each level might take. In the lower section, we have 2 models for archival processing estimation from the University of California Libraries and the Smithsonian Archives of American Art. They lay out different levels of processing effort and give a minimum and maximum number of hours per linear foot that each level might take. In both sections, there is also a table for you to add a local time estimation model if you wish. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the local time estimation tables. I'll enter hypothetical local models into both sections. This will also let us see how the local metrics work when we get to the other tabs. I'm going to zoom in a little to make this easier to see. We'll start with cataloging metrics. You can input your local cataloging metrics by entering the levels specified in your model here in this column. And now that I've got my 4 levels entered, I'll go ahead and enter a minimum and maximum number of hours per item for each level that I've specified. It works the same way in the archival processing levels section. Let's scroll down to the table for local processing levels and metrics. Again, in the yellow colored cells in this column, you'll enter data for all of the processing levels you've specified in your local model. Okay, I've specified my 4 levels, and now I'll go ahead and enter the minimum and maximum hours per linear foot that my model specifies each level will take. There we go. Your local models are specified and can now be used for time estimation in the other 2 tabs. Now that we've looked at the models our calculations are based on, let's move on to tab 1, Estimate Cataloging Hours. This tab lets you estimate cataloging time for materials described bibliographically, like rare books, pamphlets, serials, and maps. Using the schema from University of Florida Libraries we looked at in tab 3, it provides 7 different potential levels of cataloging effort. Below that, there's a table for using local cataloging metrics. You will see that the data we entered in tab 3 has been populated into this table, and we can now use it for our own cataloging calculations. To generate estimated cataloging hours, you enter a count of the number of items you expect to be cataloged at each cataloging level in the yellow cells in column B. A minimum and maximum hour count per level will display in each row, and then a total minimum and maximum hour count will display to the right of the table. I'm going to zoom in a little so we can walk through an example together. Okay, so let's say I have a dealer offering a collection of maps and books that aligns well with my collecting priorities, and I want to think about what kind of cataloging work the collection might need before making a decision to purchase. Let's say it's 20 manuscript maps, 25 pamphlets, and 20 books. I know the maps will require extensive original cataloging, so I'll enter them here in the level for full original rare book cataloging. And I think that the pamphlets will require enhanced copy cataloging, so I'll go ahead and enter them here on the line for enhanced copy. And my best guess at this point is that the books will likely have varying needs. So I'm going to put 10 of them here in full original cataloging, and then I'm going to add another 10 to the count for things that will need full original cataloging for rare books. With these numbers entered, you can see that I have a total of between 136 and 220 hours of cataloging for this collection. And you can also see the minimum and maximum number of hours per cataloging type. Seeing it broken out in this way can be helpful if you're thinking about the capacity of different members of your team to do different kinds of cataloging. We can fill out our table with local cataloging metrics in the same way. I'll go ahead and add numbers for this same collection here. 30 for the highest level of effort, 10 for original, and 25 in advanced copy for the pamphlets. You'll see again we have a total minimum and maximum number of hours, and then a minimum and maximum number of hours per type of cataloging. So let's move on to tab 2, Estimate Archival Processing. This tab lets you estimate processing hours based on linear footage and processing level as defined by 2 schemas that we saw specified in tab 3. The Guidelines for Efficient Archival Processing from the University of California Libraries, and the Smithsonian Archives of American Art processing levels. Just like the last tab, it also lets you use a local time estimation model, and the numbers we entered in tab 3 are now appearing here. Estimate processing hours, you'll need to enter the approximate number of linear feet that you expect to process for each level. A minimum and maximum hour count per level will be calculated for each row, and a total minimum and maximum hour count will display to the right of the table. So now let's zoom in a little bit and walk through another example. Let's say I have a collection of organizational records being offered to my repository that I think would be a great fit for our collecting priorities, but I want to understand the processing needs so that we can talk to the donor about supporting processing work. It is approximately a 400 linear foot collection. On a site visit, we were able to do a very preliminary survey and inventory. And from that survey, I think about half of the collection will be well served by series level processing. So I'll go ahead and put 200 here. And I think about a quarter of the collection will need expedited file level processing. So I'll put 100 here. And I think the remaining will need pretty traditional file level processing. So I'll put another 100 here. So now I see my numbers per processing level here and my total numbers over here. This can help me with my upcoming conversation with the collection donor, as well as help me think about who might be well suited to process the collection given the kinds of work I think it will need. I'll also put in these numbers for the other models so that you can see that it works the exact same way for the Smithsonian and local processing metrics. Each of these models has a little bit different way that they've broken down their levels. So for the Archives of American Art, I'm going to say that 200 of it gets the minimal level, which is the series or subseries work that we talked about, and then 200 of it gets full level, which are the two different types of folder level processing we talked about. And then for my local metrics, I'm going to do 200 at the series level and 200 at the folder level. And you'll see again that you have a total minimum and maximum estimate as well as a per level minimum and maximum estimate. And you can use whichever model you decide is best matched to your institutional capacity and workflows, or all three to help you think carefully about how the work might look. So there we go. You have estimations for how much time it might take to catalog and process your hypothetical collections. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you'll use the Quick Cost Estimator and encourage you to check out the other resources in the tool suite and our other video tutorials. Thank you.